Part 10. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 91. Chapter 91. Chapter 91. I don't know. I'm sorry, Uncle Wu, I was wrong. Zhang Xiao has figured out the trick now. She must admit her mistakes quickly and don't go against the boss. Then everything will be fine. Well, let's go home. Fu Chenxiao pulled the person to his side and prepared to leave. Fu Yan stretched out her hand to stop him. Xiao, I'm here and have dinner before leaving. We can just discuss how to spend the 18th birthday. From the hour to the 18th we can't do it in a rough way. I heard today that the Chu family gave Niu a gift. We're going to have some kind of wild birthday party, and invite all the young men from Ruchan's aristocratic families and young talents. Why don't we have one for the hour too? Zhang Xiao. Spare her, she is not lucky enough to enjoy it. Fu Chenxiao narrowed his black eyes and his face darkened a few degrees. I will prepare it for you. I know you will help her get ready, but you can't let me not know at all. She is the treasure of our family, and of course we want to help celebrate her. Fu Chenxiao snorted coldly, want you to help prepare for the wild party. Zhang Xiao's small body trembled, and he silently moved a little closer to the boss. That was his strong desire to survive. Fu Yan. What's going on? Mr. Fu listened with his eyes full of smoke, his crutches creaking loudly. Just keep your child close to you for the rest of your life, you bastard. She can only be by my side in this life. Fu Chenxiao said these words forcefully. Zhang Xiaoxi tried her best to hide herself as if she were transparent. She was much calmer now than when the big brother confessed to her that day. But seeing the old man so angry, she couldn't bear it and weakly tugged at the corner of the big brother's clothes. Uncle Wu, I want to go back. Yeah. Fu Chenxiao nodded, took Zhang Xiaoxi and left. Zhang Xiao had been sitting silently next to the boss, watching the people coming and going outside the car window. The old man told her that the time for her to leave would be her 18th birthday. Just thinking about it made her extremely excited. I happened to cry on my birthday and avoid the boss, it was perfect. The boss's deep voice came out. Zhang Xiao turned around and the boss's peerless appearance was only 1 meter away from her. She could feel the other person's warm breath in her breath, and her heartbeat suddenly accelerated slightly. 5. Before the word uncle could be uttered, his mouth was sealed by a wave of warmth. There was still a little bit of tenderness in his domineering strength. Zhang Xiao had little experience, so he could only follow the rhythm of the big boss. His little hands were clenched, and his heart was full of nervousness, fear, and confusion. The kiss lasted for a few minutes. Fu Chenxiao felt that the person in his arms had difficulty breathing before he let her go. Looking at her red lips, he gently pressed her lips with his and sneered in a low voice, "Fool, you need to learn to breathe, you know." Zhang Xiaoxiao's face was slightly red, her eyes were misty, and the boss's laughter sounded really nice. Her heart beat faster when she heard it, and an unknown emotion surged into her heart, and she nodded obediently. So good. Fu Chenxiao touched her head with satisfaction, the corners of his mouth curved, and his brows and eyes were full of tenderness. The atmosphere in the car is indescribably warm. The ambiguous factor is floating. Crunch. Ah! Zhang Xiao rushed forward uncontrollably. Fu Chenxiao quickly wrapped his arms around her waist and stared at the driver with cold eyes. The driver's neck felt cold and he said quickly, "Fifth Master, Miss Zhou is in front." End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 92. Chapter 92. Chapter 92. Humble. Fu Chenxiao raised his gaze a little higher and saw Zhou Yuling standing in front of the car with a haggard face, her brows furrowed into a kawako shape. Seeing the car stop, Zhou Yuling quickly ran to Fu Chenxiao and sat in front of the car window and patted it. "Brother Fu, are you helping me? The Zhou family is going to collapse." Zhang Xiaoxiao was a little irritated by her melancholy voice. She glanced at the boss sideways. The boss ignored Zhou Yuling's plan at all, so she rolled down the car window on her own initiative. Zhou Yuling, who was originally in a depressed mood, became hopeful as the car window was lowered. She tidied her messy hair with her hands, tried the corners of her lips, and prepared to raise a nice arc. When the car window was lowered halfway and she saw the people inside, the hope in her heart was instantly shattered. The most fatal thing was that Zhang Xiao's mouth was red and swollen. This made the soft light in her eyes instantly replaced by jealousy and resentment. Zhang Xiaoxiao saw her and was not ready to say hello. Facing the people Bai Yueguang hated, she really didn't need to give a good look. Anyway, it was not the right match, so she chose to remain silent and let the boss communicate with her. Zhou Yuling concealed the jealousy in her eyes, and suddenly she looked weak and helpless, with silver light in her eyes. "Brother Fu, are you helping me?" Fu Chenexai looked at her expressionlessly and said indifferently, "You know the situation of the Zhou family better than I do. Since you don't accept my arrangement, what happens to the Zhou family in the end has nothing to do with me." Zhou Yuling bit her lip with a pale face. Fu Chenexai was right, the Zhou family was indeed hopeless, but what could she do? Let her watch the Zhou family disappear in Ruchin and have their names removed? No, she can't. The Zhou family can't fall. Not only can they not fall, but they also have to play an important role in Ruchin as before, and everyone should be polite. So she can retreat, but if she retreats, there is really no hope at all. Begging desperately, "Brother Fu, I know what the situation of the Zhou family is now, and I also know that the advice you gave is the best, but Brother Fu, I really can't ignore the Zhou family, even if it is a pool of stagnant water." Zhou Yuling's the one with a humble voice really couldn't be humble anymore, she just wanted Fu Chenexai to help her. Zhang Xiaoxiao was listening on the sidelines. Suddenly, she didn't hate Zhou Yuling so much. She had read a lot of romance novels. The various female supporting characters and various endings in them all made people feel that she deserved it. But now she has changed her mind after listening to Zhou Yuling's words. This woman likes the big boss and has been silently by his side for 10 years. When something happened to her family, it is not easy for her to do this for her family. Sympathy is sympathy, she didn't think of interjecting, so she continued to act like she was being transparent. "The Zhou family can't survive." Fu Chenexai said this coldly, then turned his attention to the driver and said, "Drive." The driver started the car obediently. The water vapor in Zhou Yuling's eyes formed into water droplets and dripped down. She laughed silently at herself. She knew clearly that there was no hope, so why did she still come to beg him? It was humiliating herself, wasn't it? Zhou Yuling looked at the car that had turned into a black spot in the distance, with a sinister look in her pupils. In the car, Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at the boss, pursed his lips and said, "Uncle Fifth, is there really no way for the Zhou family to come back to life? It's not that you don't like Zhou Yuling, why do you care about her now?" Fu Chenexai lowered his eyes and stared at her. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 93. Chapter 93. Chapter 93, The Crooked Neck Tree. Zhang Xiao blinked his eyes and replied, "Uncle Wu, that's not what I call caring, I'm just gossiping." Fu Chenexai looked at her, smiled fondly, hooked his cool fingertips on the tip of her nose, and said in a gentle voice, "As you wish, the Zhou family will never be able to get up again. No matter how much money you spend, there is no way to save it. From the inside, being corrupted is the most terrible thing." Although Zhang Xiao didn't know anything about business, she felt that she understood the truth. What the big boss meant was that the Zhou family was just like the patients she saw. All the internal organs were necrotic, and sooner or later the damage would reach the skin. Then there would be no cure. Sure enough, within a few days, Zhang Xiaoxiao heard the news of the Zhou family's bankruptcy. However, it seemed that because of Zhou Yuling's last vigorous and resolute method, a small company of the Zhou family was saved. Although the company was small, it was very profitable, and it would be better to run it well in this life. No need to worry about food and clothing. When Miss Zhang saw the news, she held a bag of potato chips and had a video chat with Chu Hanyu on the phone. Hanyu, the Zhou family is now fully enjoying themselves in Ruchin. So are you going to set off firecrackers to celebrate? Chu Hanyu also held potato chips and chatted with her. Zhang Shi, not really. Chu Hanyu said, when I was little, my clothes didn't suit your style. In the past, as long as you could get Zhou Yuling, you would go out for a skewer with me to celebrate. Now that the Zhou family is bankrupt, you are so calm, which makes me suspect that you have been transferred. Cough cough cough. Zhang Xiao's potato chips were stuck in his throat and he felt extremely uncomfortable. He took a big gulp of water before he calmed down a little and retorted, you can tell at a glance that I was tricked. Chu Hanyu smiled naively, that's right, I can recognize you even if you are turned into ashes, ha ha ha. Zhang Shi. Xiao Xiao, why didn't your fifth uncle help anyone this time? After all, your fifth uncle was very generous last time. He gave 500 million in one breath. 500 million is not a small amount. Zhang Xiaoxiao felt inexplicably good when he thought of the boss's expression of not caring about Zhou Yuling at all. Uncle Wu said that the Zhou family cannot be saved. Chu Hanyu smiled coquettishly, I thought you were using some kind of beauty trick to stop your fifth uncle from helping that woman. Zhang Shi. Xiao Xiao, are you really not coming to my wild party tonight? Chu Hanyu asked for the nth time. Zhang Xiao nodded and answered her, if you don't come, I won't be able to enjoy it. Just enjoy it by yourself. Of course good things should be shared by everyone. If you don't come to celebrate my birthday, are you still a sister? And I am absolutely right what my mother said. I should look at other men more so that I won't be like a Nangsuan. He hanged himself from a tree with a crooked neck, so you should come and learn more about me, and look at other people, maybe you like the one you like, so you can propose marriage again. Zhang Xiao, this is really a bad friend. Seeing that she was about to leave the country, she didn't want to annoy the boss at this time. She just wanted to be obedient. If she was free, there would be nothing left for her. Why should she be impatient if she wanted to die? Xiaoxian, please listen to me. My mother saw that An Xiaoxian didn't like me, so she prepared this birthday party with good intentions. Xiao Xiao, please tell me whether I really should send An Xiaoxian back. Chu Hanyu was very anxious. And Nangsuan didn't like her and she couldn't do it no matter how hard she tried. Giving up might be a good choice. Zhang Xiao hadn't seen their CP and didn't know how to persuade him. Hanyu, why should I fall in love with a flower unrequitedly if there is no grass anywhere in the world? Just listen to your mother. End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 94. Chapter 94. Chapter 94. Give me back my idol. Chu Hanyu's long black eyelashes trembled slightly, and her eyelids covered the emotions in her eyes. In just a moment, she covered up the emotions. When I was young, you were right, and Nangsuan's pile of cow dung is not worthy of me. Flowers. Zhang had never been in love or liked someone when he was a child. Naturally, he didn't understand Chu Hanyu's mood, so he thought she was really thinking about it, so he agreed, it's best if you think like this, tonight choose one carefully and don't let your mother down. It's necessary. Chu Hanyu grinned. Zhang Xiao talked with her for a while, hung up the phone, and then lay down at home. There were still 5 days left, and she would spend these 5 days quietly and peacefully. She felt it was perfect. Fu Jianxiu condensed the day's workload into half a day in order to come back and accompany Jiangxi. Fifth master, come back. The housekeeper saw Fu Jianxiu walking over quickly. Fu Jianxiu handed the grey suit jacket to the butler and asked, "Where is the hour?" "The lady has had breakfast in the room and has not had lunch yet." Fu Jianxiu frowned slightly. "Are you so good today?" The corner of Fu Jianxiu's mouth twitched slightly and he walked upstairs. When he left in the morning, he ordered her not to attend Chu Hanyu's birthday party. He originally thought that she would make a fuss with him, but he didn't expect that today so good. The housekeeper looked at Fu Jianxiu straight back and said, "Fifth master, lunch is ready. Remember to come down to eat with the lady." Zhang Xiao was covering his head while looking at his mobile phone. He was focused on being a screen-licking dog. He watched the video of himself dancing with Yi11 back and forth, and giggled out loud. Being able to dance with her idol, something that can only appear in a dream, was actually realized by her. What an honor it was. Looking at the photos she took with Yi11, my God! How could her idol be so handsome? With this pear dimple, this good looks, and this skin, of course it would be perfect if there wasn't the big boss dark handsome face behind him. The more she looked at him, the more she felt that the big guy was an eyesore. With a roll of her dark eyes and a move of her fingers, she planned to remove the big guy, not to let him appear in the picture of her idol, which would ruin the beauty of the photo. Just when she was familiar with using various Photoshop software, a large area of incandescent light stimulated her eyes, which instantly made her vision a little blurry. Hushly, she saw a face covering her eyes, and her forehead hurt. The stimulation instantly made her eyes regain their clarity, and she could clearly see the handsome face covering her face. His pupils shrank, and she sat up from the bed in shock, hiding her mobile phone in a panic. Naturally, her little gesture did not escape Fu Jianxiu's eyes. He stretched out his long hand and snatched the phone away. When he saw the photos in the phone, his eyes darkened. He clicked delete with a flick of his finger. Not only did he delete the photos in the phone, he also deleted them. The erasure in the memory gave Jiangxi no chance of getting it back. While using Jiangxi's cell phone, he replaced it with photos of him and her, set them as screensavers, and finally handed them back to Jiangxi. When Jiangxi got the phone, he immediately checked to see if the photo was still there. When he discovered that the photo was not there, it was like a bolt from the blue. At this time, he was so hot that he didn't care how scary the man in front of him was. He jumped up from the bed on the spot. Standing on the bed, he stared at Fu Jianxiu condescendingly, his voice overdubbed, and screamed, "Give me back my idol." Well, the author is a star-chasing girl who has confessed her love to her idol 10,000 times. End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 95. Chapter 95. Chapter 95. Sour. Zhang Xiaoxiao simply couldn't stand the boss violating his idol like this. The star-chasing girl wouldn't allow it. "Uncle Wu, why do you delete my photos? Why do you touch my phone? I don't care if you get the photos back for me." Fu Jianxiu looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao with dark eyes. "Why, do you still want me to compensate you as a man?" "What man? That's an idol, an idol, my idol is still a child, why don't you give me back the photo?" Zhang Xiao shouted at the boss, his little face turned red. Fu Jianxiu's face was tense and his voice was cold. "Get up and go downstairs to eat." "I don't want to eat, I want a photo of me and my idol." Zhang Xiao felt so heartbroken that she couldn't breathe when she thought that the photo of her and her idol was gone. It was just digging out her heart and hollowing out her soul. "Zhang Xiaoxiao, am I giving you a chance to go down to eat, or continue to get angry with me here? Then I will make your idol disappear tomorrow." Fu Jianxiu left the message coldly, and walked out the door with a sullen face. Just like that, Zhang Xiao was left in place. Zhang has been looking at his back since he was a child, with a confused look on his face, and then he chased after the big guy with a panicked look. In the novel, the big guy is your father, and it won't take him a minute to get his idol. Zhang Xiao was chasing the boss. When he got downstairs, the boss was already calmly drinking ice water. Fifth uncle. Zhang Xiao called out weakly, wanting to protect his idol. Fu Chenxiao put the ice water on the table, without even looking at her, and said in a deep voice, "Eat." Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't dare to have any objections. She picked up her chopsticks to eat. The table was full of her favorite dishes, but she didn't take a few bites because she was worried about her idol. She spoke again, "Uncle Wu." Fu Chenxiao narrowed his eyes, suddenly approached her, and held her chin with one hand, still thinking about that man. Zhang Xiao opened his dark round eyes and looked at Fu Chenxiao innocently, "Uncle Wu, that's an idol, an idol. I just admire him." Zhang Xiao feels aggrieved. The boss is jealous from time to time. She is so difficult. Is it wrong to like an idol? It's even more true that she likes Yi 11. Even if she wants to have something happen with her idol, it's impossible. Idols are gods in her heart and are inviolable. Not to mention that Yi 11, her family, is a positive idol who works so hard. Worship him. Fu Chenxiao snorted sourly, "When you were a kid, I'm afraid you forgot that the one you admired the most since you were a kid was me." Zhang Xiaoxiao. Why is the boss acting like a petty public servant again? Fifth uncle, I still admire you, but I like Yi 11. There is no conflict between the two. Your image in my heart is still great, tall, and unreachable. Zhang Xiaoxi has been with the boss these days, and her skills in rainbow fart are very good. The boss needs to smooth his hair, which only lasts a few days. She will not feel wronged if she follows the boss. Fu Chenxiao lifted her chin and leaned against her, but only for a moment. Then he corrected her, "The fifth uncle is not out of reach, but within your reach." Zhang Xiaoxi's little heart was beating wildly following the boss's words, and the tips of her ears were red. She felt that if Bai Yueguang was still here, she would be very moved by the boss's words. It's a pity that she is just an outsider, otherwise Bai Yueguang would definitely respond to the boss. "Fifth uncle, please let me go first." Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at Fu Chenxiao pitifully. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 96. Chapter 96. Chapter 96. Sleeping Together. Fu Chenxiao's deep eyes narrowed, the tip of his nose was close to Jiangxi's nose, and his clear breath sprayed on her skin. "Xiaoxi, you like Uncle Wu, right?" "Jiangxi." Fu Chenxiao's thin lips curved upward, and his magnetic and seductive voice slowly brushed into Zhang Xiao's eardrums. "Xiao, the tips of your ears are red, so you have learned to accept Uncle Wu, right?" Zhang Xiao's eyelashes trembled. This time, not only the tips of his ears, but also his face were flushed. His blood flow continued to accelerate, and his heartbeat was erratic. "Uncle Wu." Fu Chenxiao did not force her, but gently kissed her eyelids. "Be good, as long as you learn to accept Uncle Wu will be very happy." Zhang Xiaoxiao. She didn't know what happened, but she suddenly felt that the boss was so pitiful, and he was still so humble in front of Bai Yueguang. "Do you want to go to Niuniu's birthday party?" Fu Chenxiao asked her in a good mood. "Zhang Xiao. Isn't she not allowed to go? Why did you change your mind now? Can I go?" Zhang Shi asked uncertainly. "Okay, I'll go with you." Fu Chenxiao gently touched her soft hair. The corner of Zhang Xiao's mouth twitched and she went with the big brother. She might as well sleep at home. This way she would make fewer mistakes and spend 5 days safely, so she rejected the big brother. "Uncle Wu, it's fine at home. I don't want to go out. Fujianexio stared at her, making sure that what she said was true or false, and remained silent for a while. If you don't want to go out, then don't go. Yejong Xiaoxiao responded softly, then I'll go up and take a rest, Uncle 5. I'll come with you. Fujianexio took Zhang Shishi's hand and walked upstairs. Zhang Xiaoxiao, what's the situation? Can't the boss let her go? Going upstairs, Zhang Xiaoxiao sat on the edge of the bed, looking at the boss next to him, a little nervous. Uncle Wu, I'm here, I can rest by myself. Fujianexio stretched out his hand and took her into his arms. He put his chin on the top of her hair and said softly, from now on, you will sleep with me every day. We will cultivate our relationship. In other words, when we were young, you turned your affection for me into love. Jiangxi. Be good, let's sleep with Uncle Wu for a while. Fujianexio hugged her, and it wasn't long before Zhang Xiaoxiao heard shallow breathing. Recently, the boss always went out early and came back late. There were also dark circles under his eyes. It looked like he had stayed up late, and he didn't know what the boss was doing. She wonders why she pays attention to the boss, and what the boss's behavior has to do with her. Anyway, she will be gone in a few days, and the boss's future life has nothing to do with her. Zhang Xiao comforted his heart, which was beating out of rhythm, like this in his heart. Chu family villa. Chu Hanyu looked at the birthday party that was already full of people. He glanced around among these people. He couldn't help but feel disappointed when he didn't see the person he wanted to see. Nayuniu, the person in front of me without you is Uncle Lu's son who is as old as you. That child is studying in country F. Chu's mother said in Chu Hanyu's ear. Chu Hanyu looked where her mother was pointing, and she saw the handsome boy. Mom, that one looks bigger than me. I like the boy to be bigger than me. Chu's mother was not angry and continued to point to the person on the upper right and said, Nayuniu, that one is your Uncle Chen's son. He is older than you. He started his own business in you. Do you like it? End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 97. Chapter 97. Chapter 97. Do you think you are a magic lamp? Chu Hanyu glanced at him without much interest. The man looked good-looking and wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. If he wore a suit, he would definitely look like a gentle scumbag, a bit like Guan Yang. The man may have noticed someone looking at him and looked in their direction. When he saw Chu Hanyu, the eyes under the frame narrowed slightly, like a wolf seeing its prey, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Walk towards them. Chu Hanyu watched him coming over, her eyebrows slightly furrowed. She instinctively disliked this kind of man and thought he was dangerous. Chen Baiking walked up to Chu Hanyu. The little girl had an oval face, a cherry mouth, curved eyebrows, and a pair of clear deer eyes. The sleeping beast in his heart completely woke up at that moment. With a polite smile on her face, the beautiful skin first greeted Du Xiongfen, and Chu, it's been a long time since I last saw you. I was standing a little far away just now and almost thought you were Niu Niu's best friend. Chu Hanyu's eyes twitched, this man's flattery was so flattering. As expected, Du Gaixian covered her face and smiled, Biking, when did your mouth become so sweet? I remember that you were cold and a bit unsociable when you were a child, but I didn't expect that you have changed so much now. Auntie, what you said was when I was a child. It will naturally change when I grow up. If I don't eat desserts, I may not be able to find a wife in the future. After saying this, Chen Baiking glanced at Chu Hanyu consciously. Du Gaixian could tell at a glance that he was interested in her daughter, so she naturally acted like a sensible person and said, Nayuniu, take brother Baiking around the yard. Mom also wants to say hello to your aunts. Chu Hanyu looked at her mother with wide eyes. She was so blatantly trying to make peace. Her mother was really not afraid of the An family being angry. Although it was true that An Nangsuan didn't like her, the two families still had an engagement after all. Nyuniu, please lead the way. Chen Baiking stood in front of Chu Hanyu with a smile and asked her to lead the way. Chu Hanyu wanted to take him for a walk even if he didn't want to, and said in a calm tone, "Come with me." Chen Baiking looked at her unhappy pouting mouth, the smile on her lips deepened, and the smile in her eyes reached straight to the bottom of her eyes. Chu Hanyu walked very fast. Along the way, Xia Zui kept introducing him to where he was, regardless of whether Chen Baiking was following him or not. Chen Baiking followed her, crossed her long legs, and stretched out her hands to catch her. "Okay, I know you don't want to take me shopping, don't walk so fast, it will be bad if you fall." Chu Hanyu slapped his hand away with one hand and stared at him fiercely, smiling. "Fox, flatterer, let go of your hand, I have a fiancé." Chen Baiking's dragon and phoenix eyes behind his glasses narrowed dangerously. The prey he was looking for had already been spotted by someone else. But he calmed down after a moment. "Nyuniu, your fiancé probably doesn't like you." Chu Hanyu was furious on the spot. "It's none of your business." Chen Baiking was just testing her, but he didn't expect her to react so strongly. Seeing her reaction, he calmed down the dangerous aura in his eyes, and naturally formed a plan in his mind. "Do you want your fiancé to fall in love with you?" Chen Baiking threw out the bait and prepared to set up a net. Who knew that Chu Hanyu was a woman who didn't play by the rules at all? "Brother, you think you are a magic lamp, and you can help people realize their wishes." Chen Baiking. End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 98. Chapter 98. Chapter 98. Wolf's Den. "Brother, I'm not interested in a smiling tiger like you. You should put your mind on others." Chu Hanyu often excludes people who he doesn't like. Chen Baiking laughed out loud, took off his gold-rimmed glasses, narrowed his dragon and phoenix eyes, and approached Chu Hanyu. "You can think of me as a magic lamp. Now that you are close to me, you will know whether I am working or not." Chu Hanyu. Chen Baiking tilted his head slightly and leaned close to Chu Hanyu's ear. The low-pitched voice made his ears feel pregnant. "There is a man looking at you behind you. If I guess correctly, he is your fiancé. He is possessive and will never let the food in his mouth be robbed." Chu Hanyu originally wanted to push him away, but his words made her stop what she wanted to do. Chen Baiking smiled with satisfaction and continued to talk in her ear. "Give me a hug," Chu Hanyu said. She felt that this guy was taking advantage of her, but she still did as he said. And Nangsuan didn't want to come to this party at first, but then he thought it was this little girl's birthday, so he came. When he walked in and saw all men, his face gradually turned darker. When I saw the little girl whispering to a man, her face darkened to the bottom of the pot. An unknown fire started to burn. It felt like a flower that I had carefully nurtured, and the pot was taken away without even a trace of soil. "Keep." Hunted at the two of them. "Nyuniu, come here." Chu Hanyu was secretly happy in his heart, and immediately pushed Chen Baiking away and jumped to the side of an Nangsuan. His dear eyes turned into moons. "And Xiaoxian, aren't you coming?" "Did I say that?" Chu Hanyu. "Nyuniu, you are an adult now. At the age of 18, you should know how to distinguish between people with wolfish ambitions. Be careful, you won't even know if you are taken into the wolf's den." And Nangsuan pointedly taught Chu Hanyu a lesson. Chu Hanyu nodded obediently and added, "And Xiaoxian, wasn't I already in your wolf den?" And Nangsuan suddenly looked at Chu Hanyu with complicated eyes. "Nyuniu." "I won't listen." Chu Hanyu covered his ears excitedly, instinctively avoiding and not wanting to hear what he said. Chen Baiking looked at the two people from the side. His dark eyes were always slightly narrowed, and his body was hidden in the darkness, making his expression unclear. And Nangsuan has been following Fu Jianxiu for many years, and he can tell who is who at a glance. People like Chen Baiking are dangerous, extremely dangerous. Niu Niu cannot be allowed to come into contact with such people. After all, she is also a sweetheart of her own family, so she has to help guard him no matter what. Niu Niu, I brought you a gift when I left, and Nangsuan pulled her away. There are gifts. Chu Han's eyes became bright as he spoke, holding in Nangsuan's hand. Let's go. Take me to see the gifts. Before leaving, Nangsuan glanced at Chen Baiking, his eyes full of warning. Chen Baiking watched them leave with one hand in his pocket, his eyes full of longing for Chu Hanyu. Who was that man just now? And Nangsuan didn't see the man's appearance clearly, so he asked Chu Hanyu carefully. Chu Hanyu chuckled with joy, rolled his eyes, and replied, Brother Chen, he is the son of Uncle Chen Pingan. My mother asked me to take him out for a walk. He is quite handsome, right? And Xiaoxian. And Nangsuan suddenly felt uncomfortable and a little angry. Niu Niu, haven't you seen a handsome guy? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 99. Chapter 99. Chapter 99. Did you have too much fun last night? I've seen it before. Chu Hanyu turned to look at his side face, the corners of his lips raised slightly. I've seen him before, so you still think he's handsome? And Nangsuan's voice was naturally filled with slight anger. Chu Hanyu grinned and jumped in front of Nangsuan. Isn't there a person more handsome than him in front of me? And Nangsuan originally had a lot of words to teach her, but he disappeared without a trace. Looking at the sunny and lively girl in front of him, he felt like he wanted to escape, and his eyes dodged. I'll put the gift in your room for you. You can do it yourself. Go and see. I'll leave first if I have something else to do. Happy birthday, Niu Niu. He didn't give Chu Hanyu a chance to react at all, and strode away, his back looking a little flustered. Chu Hanyu's eyes suddenly turned red, tears welled up in his eyes like spring water, and he murmured, if I were in love with you, and Nangsuan, I would be a dog. The next day, Zhang Xiao spent a peaceful night with the boss. The boss was in a good mood in the morning and sent her to school. He hugged her with soft eyes and said softly, I'll pick you up from school in the afternoon. Zhang Xiao. I can go back by myself. Of course, I don't dare to say what's in my heart, so I nod obediently. When we were young, Niu Niu, you two were inhaled by the yang energy. Yu Yang followed behind them and asked. The two of them stared at Yu Yang like ghosts at the same time, and said in unison, shut up. Yu Yang. Zhang Xiao walked side by side with Chu Hanyu and said calmly, Hanyu, tell me what it feels like to like someone. Chu Hanyu's long eyelashes trembled, her eyes full of sadness, and she murmured, if you like someone, you will be happy if he is happy, you will be sad if he is sad, and you will care about his every move. He is a person who can easily affect your emotions. Jiangxi. Don't like someone when you are young, it's very hard and tiring. Let others like you. Jiangxi. Hanyu, are you sick? I think she played too hard last night, and she hasn't recovered yet, Yu Yang said. He looked at Chu Hanyu ambiguously. Zhang Xiao looked at Chu Hanyu, who was in low spirits, and thought about her coming-of-age ceremony last night. Could it be that she really had too much fun? Zombie deception system, host, there is a dangerous object running towards you 100 meters ahead. Jiangxi. System, host, the attack power of this object is 100%. Jiangxi. System, the host is here. Zhang was half a beat slower when she was little. When she reacted, there was a sting on the side of her face, and she touched the sticky feeling. Zhang Xiao covered her face with one hand, still calm, and wanted to see who had attacked her. Chu Hanyu looked at Zhang Xiao with a pale face. Yu Yang pushed the girl who attacked her to the ground with great strength. The veins on his forehead were prominent and he was full of anger. "Who are you?" Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at the girl who was pushed to the ground by Yu Yang and recognized it at a glance. It was the girl she wanted to sue. "Hurry up and go to the hospital. There's a lot of blood." Chu Hanyu's eyes widened with fear. He took out a tissue from his bag in a panic to stop the bleeding. Zhang Xiao covered his face calmly, squatted down and looked at the girl, and said calmly, "Why?" The girl stared at Zhang Xiao with a haggard face, feeling a little dazed. "If you destroy me, I will destroy you." End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 100. Chapter 100. Chapter 100. Stitches. Zhang Shi's eyes darkened, and his black pupils looked at the girl quietly. The girl's eyes were dark, the whites of her eyes were red with bloodshot eyes, her pupils were hollow, her lips and tongue were chapped and white, her hair exuded a faint smell, her clothes were not neat enough, and her back there were still a few shoe prints on it. After being silent for a while, he stood up and said more calmly than anyone else, "Send her to the psychiatric department of the hospital as well." Zhang was taken to the hospital when she was young, and Chu Hanyu and Yu Yang were always with her. The wound is on the left cheek. It is very long and winds all the way to the temple. The wound on the cheek is the deepest and the place that bleeds the most. Looking at the posture, it may leave scars. The doctor looked at Zhang Xiao's wound and frowned slightly. He cleaned the area around the wound, then stopped the bleeding and disinfected it, and then took out the suture tools. "Little classmate, the wound on your face is too deep and needs to be sutured. I'm afraid it will leave scars in the future." The doctor told Zhang Xiaoxi the result. Zhang Xiaoxiao was a doctor himself. He also frowned slightly when he saw the wound in the mirror. It is estimated that every girl would not want to have a scar on her face, but there was nothing she could do to call her weak. "Ah, just so, it's okay." Zhang Xiaoxiao accepted it calmly, but Chu Hanyu and Yu Yang objected fiercely, "No, no, doctors can't leave scars." The two said in unison. "Zhang Shi, you can't leave scars when you are a child. If you leave scars, Uncle Wu will kill me." Yu Yang couldn't stop trembling when he thought of Fu Xiu. Zhang Xiaoxi was by his side and he didn't even protect him. Uncle Fu would skin him. Of leather. When I was young, I already called Uncle Guan. He will be here in a moment. When Chu Hanyu heard that stitches and scars were needed, she called Guan Yang as soon as possible. It was not that she didn't trust the doctor. Medical skills, but this person has scars on his face, and the consequences are not something they can afford. When the two of them thought of Fu Xiu, they both breathed a little shallowly in fear. The doctor did not take action and did not understand what these children were thinking. He simply urged, "Keeping the wound open for too long will increase the chance of scarring." Zhang Xiao didn't listen to the two of them, and said to the doctor neatly, "So. Our." The two of them were still about to persuade and wait for Guan Yang to come, when they heard a burst of hurried steps. The two of them stood up straight, their skin tightened, and they looked at the door with trepidation. Swallowed nervously. When they saw that the person who appeared at the door of the emergency room was not Fu Xiu, both of them breathed a sigh of relief. Chu Hanyu responded quickly, "Uncle Guan, look at your face quickly." The doctor said to leave a scar. Guan Yang frowned and walked to Zhang Xiaoxiao. When he saw the wound on her face, a flash of anger flashed in his eyes. He quickly sewed the wound for her and asked, "Who did it?" Zhang Xiao could feel the pain of his skin being pulled, and he endured the pain and answered, "A classmate who is not mentally normal." "Where is that person?" "I went to the psychiatric hospital, and the principal is with me." Chu Hanyu watched Zhang Xiaoxi speak in pain and helped her answer. "Were you two around at the time?" Yu Yang and Chu Hanyu turned pale and admitted their mistake together. "Uncle Guan, things happened so fast that we didn't even react. We were wrong." Guan Yang knotted the thread, bandaged the wound, and warned, You are not allowed to eat hemp, spicy food, or get wet. I will go back to your house every day and you will pay attention to your wound. Now take me to see the mentally ill person immediately, classmates. End of this chapter.